Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So, once again, Jazakallah khair for everyone coming to another Quran exploration. And just want to go over really quickly how the Quran exploration, the schedule for the Quran exploration. So, what I usually do is that I read the surah. After reading the surah, I go over the literal translation of the ayat. Then, after that, we go into each ayat and then its implication in our lives and what lessons do we take out of it, inshallah. In today's surah, it's kind of is Surah Quraysh, and oftentimes it's not as clear and explicit of what do we learn from the surah. What's the takeaway points? But inshallah, I kind of want to show today that even though a surah might be talking about a specific instance back in the past, like talking about Quraysh and them traveling in the winter and the summer, and how they would be worshipping around the Kaaba and having people come to them, how we can extract actually a lot of important lessons from that surah, inshallah. But I'll start with the surah, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لإلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. صدق الله العظيم. So the literal translation of the ayat goes as follows. For the tradition of the Quraysh, their tradition of traveling in winter and summer, let them worship the Lord of this house, who provided them with food against hunger and with security against fear. So the very first ayah is talking about li'ilafi Quraysh. It's talking about Quraysh in general, in their traditions, and the way they used to live. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling out Quraysh. And he's telling Quraysh what? Their tradition of traveling in the winter and the summer. And then after he says this, he says that let them worship the Lord of this house, who provided them with food against hunger and security against fear. Right? What is meant by this? So you have to understand the context of Mecca and Quraysh at that time. Mecca was actually, where is it located? It's located in the desert. It's not really located in the best location for society, for a strong society that will continue and prosper and flourish the way it did back in the day. So the question comes up is, how did Mecca prosper and flourish? How was it known to be one of the biggest tribes, one of the biggest locations in the Middle East? Why was it known as that? Why did Abraha get so jealous of Quraysh and wanted to go attack Mecca and destroy the Kaaba? How did Mecca reach this level of status? One thing you'll notice is that it was due to the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that mean? They had the Kaaba. The Kaaba is one of the main one of the pillars of Islam is to go and do Hajj at the Kaaba, right? The Kaaba, before the time of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and at the time of Quraysh before Islam, was still used as a hijrah. People would still go do pilgrimage and come to the Kaaba and go pray to the gods over there. And people would be coming across all over, all the peninsulas. All over, they would come and travel months on months to go visit the Kaaba and do pilgrimage, right? And anyone here that knows about business, that knows about these kind of ideas, can think automatically what? Oh, this is how they flourished. People would come. They would be selling goods. The marketplace would flourish. People would be bringing different kinds of trades, communication. And that's allowed them to have different trade routes with new people that they met, develop connections, which allowed Quraysh, even though it was stuck in its geography wasn't the best, its strength was the best, but gave it such a high status at the time of Jahiliyyah, the time before Islam was there. That's the reason why Mecca had such a high status, was because of the Kaaba, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected the Kaaba. When Abraha went to go destroy the Kaaba and he brought the elephants, who protected the Kaaba? Protected their way of living. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wasn't there and the Kaaba then was destroyed, the Quraysh would have no way of living. They would fall into despair. Their economy would fall down right away, because the Kaaba was the central and focal point of Quraysh, of Mecca. And then he talks about traveling in the winter and summer. Their protection during that winter time, during that summertime. Because like we said again, the main form of profit for Mecca was the marketplace and selling and trading. Selling and trading. And that was all pinnacle upon what? The Kaaba. If the Kaaba wasn't there in Mecca, wasn't there, and Quraysh wasn't in charge of it, they wouldn't have the status, they wouldn't have the power. People in just the Kaaba being in Mecca specifically, no other tribe, no other location would come and dare to go what? Attack them. Because they both have money, wealth, but also they have the spiritual authority. Think about it this way. If you know, let's say that you're a religious, devout, Christian per se, right? Or let's say Muslim, right? You say you're a devout Muslim, and you believe that, a masjid, a place has a very beautiful masjid, well-respected imams, has a very high spiritual ground, is very Islamic. Would you go there and dare to go attack and destroy that location? No, you would want to avoid that place. You wouldn't want to get close to it because you respect the high ground it has. Because Mecca can easily say, this tribe, we're not allowing you to come to the Kaaba anymore because you guys don't respect our rules and all that kind of stuff. Khalas, their form of spirituality is gone. Their asset of their hijrah that all the people go to is gone. Their pilgrimage is gone. So Mecca and was legitimately the reason why it flourished, the reason why it survived, the reason why it was so big at the time before the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got the message in revelation, was because it had the Kaaba. And why the tribe that held the keys to the Kaaba were held such a high regard as well. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them, think about the blessings you've gotten. Think about who protected the Kaaba when it was in need. Think about who guarded you, provided you food when you're hungry. The Kaaba, and because of the Kaaba, they got food from the markets and the money and the economy and everything. And against fear, when Abraha went to destroy the Kaaba, it was protected. Other people wouldn't dare get close to Mecca and fight Mecca because of the Kaaba that they had in Mecca, in the Quraysh, right? So Allah subhanahu making them think, make them realize, look at the reality in front of you. Don't be ignorant. Think about why you are in the position you are in. Making them reflect. Because everyone, at the time of Mecca, it was the main concept was that they understood that the Qur'an, that the language, that the Arabic was very, very different, that was coming from the Qur'an than the normal tongue. Back then in Mecca, the language, they were masters at it, and they would have competitions in poetry. Experts in the Arabic language. But once the Qur'an was revealed, they couldn't compete against the Qur'an at all whatsoever. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even challenged Mecca to come up with what? One surah, which is surah is 3 ayat. Come up with one surah similar to the Qur'an. These are masters of Arabic language that would compete in poetry, but not a single person was able to. They knew it was a revelation. They knew it was the truth. But what held them back? It was ignorance. They wanted to keep their wealth. They wanted to keep the sense of security that they had, the status that they had. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the surah is making them what? Think. What is your security? What is your status? What is your blessings, your safety? What was it based upon? Was it just you? Or was there a greater power behind it helping you? Think about the blessings you have. And that can be very, very easily applied to us as well. Think about the blessings that you have. Think about the position you are in. Think about who gave you that position. Who gave you that blessing? Who allowed you to come here and study? Was it just due to your own knowledge and that's it? Due to your studying methods and to the help of your parents? Or was it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you a brain that can think? A body that can move? Ears that can listen? Wealth or a family that can provide for you from a young age? All these kind of things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making you think, what are the blessings behind it? Don't get swayed away by the life around you. Don't get swayed away by the blessings that you have around you and start forgetting and start only focusing on what I want and what I have in greed. Rather focus on how did I even get this in the first place? What has been the main fundamental backbone my whole life? What's one thing that is absolutely necessary for me to live the way I am? It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one that gave you life. He's the one that allows you to keep living. He's the one that gave you all the abilities and skills and things that you can do in this life. And not just you as well, the people around you that influence you. The fundamental pillar of this whole universe, of your life, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we believe Him as Allah, the Lord of all the Lords, the Creator. And that's the fundamental basis of Aqidah, one of the fundamental pillars of Islam. Understanding the unlimited power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understanding that He is the one that gives all the blessings that we have around us. And we should never forget for a single moment and why we are in the position we are in. Never become ignorant, never become swayed by the life and the blessings you have around you. Is that understood, inshallah? So, and that's why it's very interesting. When you first initially read the surah, just without any pretext, without any preconceived knowledge, no background information whatsoever, and you read it, and it's saying, for the tradition of Quraysh, the tradition of traveling in the winter and the summer, let them worship the Lord of this house who provided them with food and hunger and security against fear. All these ideas never really come to mind right away. You simply read the translation like, oh, okay, that's nice. Also, I tend to remember that, the house, which is probably talking about the Kaaba, and that He protected them against food and hunger. That's the same for everywhere. But no, once you go look into the background information, more in depth about the ayat in the surah, you realize just how fundamental the Kaaba was for Quraysh. And why it was such a big deal, and why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose in the surah to tell Quraysh, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that this was a relevant thing to bring up to Quraysh. And that's why my very last point is, when you do read surah, and then you all look into the translation, please look into the background information, the tafsir, the context in which it was given, the time at which it was given, to whom it was given, when was it revealed. Because all of these play a huge impact, a huge role. And I'm sure as everyone knows, but it kind of like, whenever you bring it up again, it reminds you, the Qur'an wasn't revealed at once. It was revealed in bits and pieces, right? It was revealed in ayat. And what it would respond to the things that were going on in society with the Prophet Muhammad were commandments Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to go and pursue. Right? So when you think about it this way, that these ayat were responses for a way of life, to make you think, to make you act, and it was set at certain occasions, at certain times, at certain places, you just realize how important and how fundamental it is to not just know the literal meaning of the ayat, but it's also its content and its understanding. Inshallah, that the idea is something that we go into our own lives, not just the Qur'an inspirations we come to. Alhamdulillah, we come here and we learn. It just shows that we have an interest in this. On your own time, when you're reading surahs, take some time to look into more in-depth information about what's the occasion of the surah, what's the tafsir about it, to whom it was given, when was it given, all these kind of things. It really does play a big role. Right? Islam is much bigger than we actually think it is. And Jazakallah khair. Are there any questions or comments, inshallah?